Hello everybody, welcome to Belstin channel and I'm Dastin. This is the first video of our advanced level, so I want to talk about journey first. Here is our journey of advanced 1 level, and we have 12 phases in this level. Each phase has 3 types of class: grammar, skills, and conversation. In advanced level, I'm pretty sure that you've learned all the routines of grammars. However, there are still some grammars that might make you intrigued in this level. So that's in grammar. 2 skills classes, we're gonna discuss appealing topics, as well as learn an abundance of skills necessary on a daily basis. According to it, you are not only broadening the knowledge, but also the vocabularies. And the last one is conversation. Having a small talk is not a big deal to you, right? But how about debating on somewhat controversial issues? In this type of class, you will have many chances to practice how to speak more and more eloquently. So that's all for our journey. Let's start our first lesson, conversation. What if we could time travel? Let's go. When it comes to time travel, there are many sci-fi art mentioning about it. Have you ever wished to travel back in time or be able to predict what future will be? I think it's very interesting, but is it possible? And what if was possible? Let's come with Dastin to explore more about time traveling. Here we have an article in the exercise 1, which is quite long, but we need to absorb it anyway. But don't worry, it only takes 1 or 2 lessons and we will be done. So before reading this long article, I'd prefer finding new words first, and when we're gonna add new words, we will stop right there and continue in the next class. Okay, let's start. People make many mistakes in their lifetime. If we could travel back in time to fix our worst blunder, would you? Do you know what blunder is? Blunder is just a mistake, but the serious one. Let's continue. And how about fortune telling? I know you guys maybe know the word fortune, but the meaning of a phrase fortune telling might make you surprised. Well, fortune means luck, and fortune telling means telling lucks. As we know that people tend to love listening to lucks or good news rather than bad news and dramas, and the person whose job is to tell lucks is a fortune teller. These people usually tell good news to their clients, but sometimes they also tell bad news attached with superstitious costly solution to swindle their client. So now you know fortune telling means predict your future. Let's continue. Have you ever been curious to what people predict your future? Both of these are called time travel, but a pertinent question is whether phenomenon is really possible. Here we have the word pertinent. Pertinent means mentioned. So a pertinent question is a mentioned above question. And phenomenon is something interesting, especially something unusual exists. For example, we have natural phenomenon like rain, volcano, tornadoes, and we also have spiritual phenomenon. Have you heard about ghost detached or attached? That is spiritual phenomenon. And there is a term mentalism, which is becoming more and more popular nowadays. As you can see, many shows in Got Talent, they can transfer thought, and until now we can't explain that phenomenon. And phenomenon could be something normal, like many people do the same thing at a time. I remember that people used to hunt animal for fur or horn. It's just because they think these things could bring them luck. That's nonsense, I know. Anyway, let's continue, huh? The short answer is yes. Theoretically, time is relative. Here we have the word theoretically. This must be an adverb of theory. And I think you might know the word theory already. It is a set of rules or statements, ideas, definitions about something. An antonym of it is practice. For example, we studied chemistry at school. We will gain knowledge in classes, and then we go to a lab to test if what we have learned is correct or not. So what we've learned in books is just a theory. And we have the word relative. You might say that, oh, I know it. Relative is a member of your family. So easy. Yes, it's correct if it's a noun, but is it an adjective here? If you say something is relative, it means it grew in somewhat degree when comparing to the others. For example, in case A, it could be right, but in case B, it might be wrong. So is it relative? It depends on condition and other things. Sounds confusing? Yeah, I know relative is inherently confusing. Let's continue. In other words, time slows down or speeds up depending on how fast the observer moves relative to something else. According to renowned physicist Albert Einstein, a person traveling inside a spaceship at the speed of light would age much slower than his or her twin back at home. Here we have the word renowned. Renowned is famous, but it's more respectful if you say renowned. And physicist is just who study physics. Next, there are other scientific theories about time travel, including some weird physics that arise around wormholes, black holes, and string theory. For the most part, time travel remains the domain of an ever-growing array of science fiction novels, movies, television shows, comics, video games, and more. Here we have a phrase "for the most part." It just means usually. and ever growing means it grows continuously. Now let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oops, 9 words. Okay, so bonus 1. But I think theoretically doesn't count. It's not a new word at all, right? Because it's just an adverb of theory, and we know theory already, right? Okay, now we know all the new words. Let's translate. People make many mistakes in their lifetime. Of course, as a people, we did make mistakes, right? If we could travel back in time to fix our worst blunder, would you? Okay, the question arises here is, if time travel was possible, would you travel back in time to fix your error? For example, you married a girl 10 years and then you found out, oh my god, it was a hell. Now you have a wish. Would you travel back in time to not marry her? Okay, keep it secret. Don't let your wife know, or you die. I'm just kidding. Now let's continue. And how about fortune telling? Fortune telling, as I told you, is predict future. Have you ever been curious to what people predict your future? Yeah, I think it's right when someone can see your future and give you advice. It's awesome, right? And you might be curious, oh, how do they know it? Both of these are called time travel. But a pertinent question is whether phenomenon is really possible. So the first question is very intriguing, interesting, appealing. But is this possible? Who knows? Now move to the next paragraph and we will know if it's possible or not. Yeah, the short answer is yes. So it's possible. Wow, how awesome it is. You can change your wife. Maybe a better one, but maybe a worse version waiting for you. Who knows? Theoretically, time is relative. In other words, time slows down or speeds up depending on how fast the observer moves relative to something else. According to renowned physicist Albert Einstein, a person traveling inside a spaceship at the speed of light would age much lower than his or her twin back at home. I know these sentences sound complicated. In fact, one physicist gave a striking example by describing the story of a traveler making a trip at the speed of light to visit a distant star, then return to Earth at the same speed. During the trip, both the traveler and Earth keep sending signals to each other at a constant rate, and after a journey, the one on a spaceship returned home. No matter what method they use to predict the clock readings, they will meet again when the traveler is much older than the stay-at-home one. Some are telling this phenomenon paradox, nonsense. However, there were also some theories supporting it, like a role of acceleration or a relativity of simultaneousness. To acceleration, you can understand that if something wants to reach at a certain speed, it needs time to reach it. And if the speed is super fast like light, obviously need much more time. The same thing for deceleration, and people believe that these things cause time dilation. However, the theory of relativity of simultaneousness makes more sense when proving that acceleration doesn't affect much in this time dilation. To understand more about this theory, please refer to a video, Einstein's Twin Paradox Explained, Amber Stuver. The link I put in the description. Unfortunately, these theories are all correct mathematically, but our technology nowadays is not advanced enough to have a speed approximate to light. Let's continue. There are other scientific theories about time travel, including some weird physics that arise around wormholes, black holes, and string theory. So you see here? Still, scientists wanna race for the design of light speed achievement. They came up with many theories like wormholes, black holes, and string theories. Okay, for the most part, time travel remains the domain of an ever-growing array of science fiction novels, movies, television shows, comics, video games, and more. Well, as I told you, it's impossible for now. So these time-traveling ideas only embody in novels, films, games, and so on. I hope you didn't have a headache after reading that article, only 2 paragraphs, but it's too complicated and confusing, I know it, because it's relating to physics as well as it's just a theory. So anyway, theoretically, it's promising, it's doable, but it just we can't do it right now because we can't travel faster than light. We can't travel fast enough to go back in time. Anyway, the question is, what if you could travel back in time? What would you do? Let's share with us in the comments below. Okay, our today's lesson is done. See you next time, and remember to subscribe to keep posted with my latest video in this advanced level. See ya!